Sorry about that, guys. I lost memory on my computer. I had to delete some older videos. Okay, so just to review, we added a new component called type component, and then we actually moved all the pieces to figures. I guess you could do what makes sense with you. But I moved them here. We changed them to public so that we had access to them. And then in my type component, all I'm really holding is I'm just holding the type. And that's all the type component is going to do, is just hold the type so that I can set and I can get the type. So then when we go into our entity manager, we are going to set their type so that fdef filter.category bits is going to be figures dot player for this one, and then the mask bits fdef dot filter dot mask bits will be figures dot he's going to collide with the enemy. And then this is using bitwise math. So OR, just a single OR, type component, excuse me, not type component, figures dot level right now. So if either one of these is true, then it's going to return that filter. So when we're actually building it, if we were looking at it in binary, this would fill out that 4 position and that 16 position. So it would be 0, 0, 1 for the level, and it'd be 0, 0, 0, 2, 4, 8. Oh, excuse me. 0, 1 for the level and 0, 0, 0, 1 for the enemy. So then it's going to end up building for the level and enemy of what I can collide with would be 0, 1, 0, 1 of the possibilities of what I can collide with. So it makes it where it's fast for being able to build that collision. All right, so we have that piece set up. The next thing is to actually set the body. So that's where we are going to set the body. So that would be our body component dot set body, and we need to pass a body into it, which would be where we would want to generate that body. So we have that create body, which it needs. We're going to have to pass that entity in. Okay. We need to pass. I'm just going to write it how it should be, and then we can make those changes. Oh, Jesus. You're really annoying me. Okay, we need to pass an entity into it. We're going to need to pass an X and a Y. We know that. We're going to have to pass dimensions in. So let's say we're doing that as a vector 2. Okay, and then the body type, short self, short interaction. We don't need the short self and short interaction because we're just going to end up passing that fdef in. Anything else? Well, I had mine also built where I was doing it with JSON, so I think I'm going to show you guys that later. But if we are building just a basic body, we pass in the entity, the X and the Y, and we have some type of dimensions for it. So this could be the size that we're doing. And the FDEF. Okay, so that's going to error out because it's all crazy. So in here, let's make some changes. The position, we're now putting in an entity. We're passing it an X, we're passing it a Y. Oops, int X, int Y. Force. The way that we're writing the game is for gravity that's set. That's why it was vector 2. Well, let's just do it that way. That's fine. Vector 2. Just so I'm not having you guys vector position size. This would be the dimensions. And this is going to be, let's do this also as a vector 2. Float force. I'm going to take that off. We're just going to default it. The entity okay. Dimensions, body type. We don't need this anymore. We need the FDEF. Extra def, FDEF. Okay. So now we are just passing in this FDEF. We could probably pull these out too. Definition. Why does it look so funny? Extra def. Okay. So we could still pass in that type. We'll just manually set this to 1. If the dimensions is 0, we'll just do .x. If it's a square, this will be its width, dimensions .x, and this will be dimensions.y. That way we can have it not be a specific like square shape. So we got circle shape, we got square shape. I'll make this default. Take that off. Okay, so all I did was if the switch is 0 or they don't have 1 on there, it's just going to make it as a circle shape. So let's look here. we don't need to set that in the body generator. Let me double check. Because we already passed those pieces in there. Shape, density, restitution. Okay, create fixture, fdef, shape, dispose. We are going to want to set the data, set the user data for it. This will allow us to be able to find out who was the owner of that fixture that got collided with, so that we can deal with it on a more of an automatic. So that's where we are passing in the entity that it belongs to. We're disposing the shape, returning the body. Body def. Still some things that we're not really setting. We should be setting, we got the type. If it's not a bullet, we should be setting fixed rotation, gravity scale. We're setting the position. Okay. Now our position is actually here having this. We need it to be set for the middle of the object that we're actually creating it for. So if it is, let's set this later. So this is going to be, if it's a circle, it's going to be the bdef dot position dot set. And in this case, it's going to actually be the center of the circle. So ultimately, I'm going to want to end up changing some of this to deal with offsets. But our dimensions, and since we're just using on y dot x divided by 2, that is going to be putting the position. Let's start x dimensions dot y dot x divided by 2. It's the same thing. So if we're creating a circle, it's going to have that radius. It's going to be the same either way. That's for a circle. For here, it will be bdef dot position dot set dimensions dot x divided by 2 and dimensions dot y divided by 2. Okay, so we are setting its initial, or where for that body, where the middle of it is for us to deal with it. Body dot world dot create body. That's going to actually have to move underneath the switch. Shape. Okay. And pictures have shape. Okay. So I think we got everything we need. Only thing that I don't see that we don't have yet is fdef dot fixed rotation. Fixed. Why are you not giving it to me? still is holding it, right? Oops. Fixture def, center filter. Okay, I guess it doesn't have it anymore. So I don't need to set fixed rotation. That. Okay. I will probably have to set an initial friction for it. And we could just set that as 0. It's going to slide around, but if we want it to eventually stop, we're going to need to set some friction for it. Okay. So then when we go into our entity manager, it's looking for that vector 2. Doesn't want to take it. That, I guess we're going to have to make some tweaks. Body generator, where are you? Vector 2 position. And then, and how did we initially create it? Okay. We created a new vector for each one. We don't want to do that. So let's do, we're going to create a temporary vector so we don't have to continually create. Vector 2 is I'll initialize that. Temp position vector equals vector 2.0. Okay. So then when we're adding the body component, let's go ahead and 0 it out again. Vector dot x is equal to x. Temporary position vector dot y is going to be equal to that y that we pass in. So then when we are building our body, we're doing temporary position vector. Okay. Now it needs dimensions. So this is also vector. Let's do another one. Private vector 2 temp dimension. This way I'm not creating a new one every time I'm creating an entity. I only have one. Temp dimension vector equals vector 2 dot 0. So I initialize it at 0, and then I'm going to pass in. Now, if we have the player, we're going to pass it in. This is where we could choose the size. So .x could be, let's say for now we just do 1 and temp dimension vector .y we can have it as 1 and play around with it. So that would be 1 unit in our world. What else do we need? Type. We're going to pass in the type and then the fixture definition. Type, body type, fixture def. Okay. So our type is going to be body def, dynamic body, and then our body type, which we're pulling 1 for a square, and then fixture def. Okay, so that's good. Yay! All right, so now we have the body created for a body component. Next piece that we would need for adding the body, we're going to set it active, body component dot set active, set that to true so that he's not sleeping. Body component dot get body. So now we can set actual movement friction. So that would be like get body dot set linear damping. So whenever he's moving, he's not starting as fast as he can. So linear damping, we could say we set that to initial of 3F, so that it'll slowly speed up the more he moves until he gets to a certain speed. We can also set the user data for it. Set user data to that entity. Technically, I think this would not be needed because we have set it inside. And then we are doing, so now we got a break. Okay, so that's case 1. Now we're adding our entity. And it looks like we are done. So now we just need to return the entity. So we add that body component and we return entity. Okay, so that body component, now that is complete. Here we're creating the entity. We need to go ahead and add. So after we create that entity, then we need to call for what components we want it to have on it. So for the player, all we're going to do is we're just plugging in those pieces for the player. So for right now, it's just adding that body component. So I'm just calling that method. We're passing that entity name in there. We're passing that X and that Y. Let's see, what else do we need? We actually got to pass that entity in. Okay. All right, so we're passing in all the stuff that this is required for building that body component. And then here, once we're done, we have to add, so we use the engine to create the entity. We need to add the entity to the engine. So engine dot add entity. And then we are returning that entity. So we could call this method to create an entity and instantly assign it to something. Now, this is, we'll probably eventually want to have a switch for the entity name. So let's go ahead and just kind of start doing that. Switch entity name. And that's going to be called regardless. All right. So our first case is going to be player. And then we're breaking out. Okay, so basically what we got now is we have a switch inside the spawn entity. So when we call this, if we type player, it's going to link up that, yep, this is the components we're going to create. And then it's going to build that. Now what we don't have is we don't have a type component, which we should have. So let's go ahead and create that method right now. Take all those spaces off. Private entity add type component, and we're going to pass in the entity. We're always going to be passing the entity, and then we can pass in, let's just do by string entity name. All right. So using the same way that we kind of did this for adding, I'm going to have to go type component, and then have the engine build the component. So create component, type component dot class. Okay, so we create that component, and then we got to put anything in there. Now our type component, really all it is holding is the type. So I need to pass what type that is holding. So here, now once I create it, I can say type component. Yep, type component dot set type. And this would be based off the entity name. So let's do another switch inside here where I'm passing in that entity name. And we will add short, I'm going to do a temporary variable, short type, and inside here, let's do case player. That's a little bit different than what I built. Case player type is going to equal figures dot player. Break. And then default, so if we don't have anything, default will be type equals figures dot other. Okay, so then that would allow us to create for that, and now we can just throw in that type. Okay, so we put the type in. Now we need to add that to the entity. So entity dot add type component, and then we need to return that entity. Return entity. Okay. Now that's another thing that we're going to have to build. So we have the player, we're going to add a body component, we're going to add a type component. We're passing in the entity, and we're passing the entity name. Bam. See how if we do it as methods, we can easily, now if I'm creating an enemy, I could just pass it in and have it build it exactly how I want. So if I decided that I'm going to create another enemy and it's going to have additional features, all I have to do is just call up a method for each piece. It's going to run through here, add all the components that I need, and then it's going to add that entity to the engine, and then I'm done. Okay, so now I have a number of components. I'm going to stop the video here, but then the next video we are going to actually create those entities, and we're going to build the systems to use Entity Manager, and then have the body and the type. We're also going to probably add position to the player, and then we can use that for building and having all of our movements and everything, and start getting Ashley up and running. All right.